Home builders, if the only low voltage you're putting in your homes is a coaxial TV locations and a doorbell, you are not sufficiently preparing your homes for technology your customers will be using in the home after they move in. In every single home that you build, those homeowners are going to have a few key technologies in it after they move in. The good news is you have the opportunity during construction to better prepare them for what they'll need. And plus, since many builders are not doing this, this is an easy, inexpensive way to set yourself apart by being able to say that your homes are prepared for the future and any technologies they want to add down the road. You'll look more professional, more on top of things, more ahead of the curve, and your clients will thank you for it. Trust me. So, here are a few things you should be wiring for in every single home that you build. Number one, Wi Fi. You have Wi Fi in your home. I have Wi Fi in my home. Every single home that you build, the homeowners are going to move in and they're going to get Wi Fi put in that house. It's a necessity nowadays that we all have learned not to live without. And it's just as important as electric or water. If your internet goes out, everybody's scrambling around trying to figure out how to fix it and resetting things, trying to get it back on as quick as possible because we got to have our Wi Fi working. Now, if you're building homes that are, I'd say, at least 3 or 4,000 square feet and up, you need to do something that's going to help your customers be more prepared for better Wi-Fi throughout the house. Because most people, they're going to move in, they're going to call the cable company, and they're going to come put in a modem or router down in the office or something. It's on one side of the house, and then you go to the other side of the house, use your iPad or your laptop, and it doesn't work that well. And it's signals dropping, and it's buffering, and it's slow, and people are frustrated. But during construction, you can wire for what we call Wi-Fi access points throughout the home. It's almost like having multiple routers in your home. You run Cat 5 or Cat 6 wire from these locations throughout the home down to one location where the router would go inside the house. And then it's like getting multiple, not repeaters like Wi-Fi boosters that don't work super well, but actually hardwired Wi-Fi antennas, if you want to think of it that way, throughout the house. So usually you're going to put these, kind of stagger them on different floors and spread them out, and ideally work with a home technology provider that can make the plan for that, because you can't actually overdo it. Even you put things too close to each other and things like that. But by a few runs of Cat 5 throughout the home, that's really inexpensive. You can better prepare your customers' homes for having strong Wi-Fi that they're going to want to have after they move in. All right, so number two, instead of just running coax TV locations, you should be running a Cat 5 or a Cat 6 to each of those locations as well. And run the Cat 6 to a common location where like the router would go in the house, not to outside of the house where the cable lines usually go for the spectrum or something else. The reason you want to do this is, especially with streaming being so dominant nowadays, more and more people, every week I meet with people who are building new homes, and most of them, they're taking the advantage of the move and changing things anyway to go ahead and switch to streaming instead. And they're getting rid of cable and satellite services and cable boxes and all that. So they really need to have good, strong internet signal at each of their TVs. So if you run a Cat 5 or Cat 6 to those locations, that gives them the ability to hardwire those TVs into their internet signal. And that way they can make sure they're not having any kind of buffering or slow speeds. Even if you have really good Wi-Fi in the house, like we just talked about, you're still going to want to make sure that if it's your TV service, essentially, you want to make sure that it runs as well as it possibly can. And especially at night, you have multiple people in the home who might be wanting to stream all at once or use the internet for different things. And Zoom calls nowadays are really popular. So that all puts a really heavy burden on your Wi-Fi. And video streaming is the biggest thing that we use in terms of bandwidth and speed, our Wi-Fi for. So having your TVs and streaming devices hardwired in is going to make sure that they work reliably, really, really well. And the other advantage is, even if they had a location where you ran that line for TV and they ended up not using it for that or whatever, Cat 5 and Cat 6 wire can be used for a variety of things. So you can run audio over it and video. If you have a smart home system, you can use that line in different ways for that. So there's a lot of different benefits for the cost of not very much wire to run that line. It's going to give the customers the ability to have their home future proofed and be able to do a lot of things down the road if and when they need it. Number three, surround sound. In most homes that I work in, if it's a home that's, I'd say, $400,000 and up, then every single one of those homes, they're going to have some sort of better sound solution in the primary, TV viewing area, the living room or a basement family room or a bonus room or something. They're going to want to have better sound for that TV than just what the TV speakers gives you. And so they're either going to be adding a sound bar under the TV or having surround sound in that room. Even if all you do is wire for them to have a sound bar under the TV, that's going to give them better sound, much better sound than just the TV would give them. and even still give them better sound than if they just went to Best Buy and bought some off the shelf plug-in sound bar that they could set on the mantle themselves. Those are pretty good and they're okay, but doing a more traditional sound system is actually still going to give them a better quality of sound than that solution would give them. And most people nowadays they want to add the rear speakers. Most homes now are open concept, so there's not really a wall behind you, but you can put the speakers in the ceiling and still get that surround effect for TV shows and movies. And I mean, nowadays even TV shows are like these amazing. They have the cinematography and the music and stuff, and like they're almost like feature length films in terms of how well produced they are. So even if you're just watching Netflix, you want to be able to have really good sound. And then adding a subwoofer in there to add that bass and that low end effect is really cool too. So most people are going to want that. So the cost of a little bit of speaker wire in those rooms isn't going to be that much, but it's going to give customers the ability to have a much better viewing experience in their home down the road. Number four, multi-room music or whole house audio, some people call it. This is basically adding speakers in the ceiling throughout the home for the customer to be able to listen to music on. Even if you just zigzag the wire in the ceiling and you can put it behind drywall, at least it's there so that if they wanted to add music down the road, they could, instead of having to get a lot of cheap little plug-in speakers and have them on countertops and things like that. So that gives them the ability to play music, go on an app. Nowadays, you don't usually see the volume controls like the knobs on the wall anymore. Everything is on an app on their phone or tablet. They can go in and they can play just about any music they want on their music system. And the key areas that I see homeowners wanting to do this in are kitchens, because usually if you're in the heart of the home, the kitchen living area, that's where people want to listen to music. In the master bath, while they're getting ready, they might want to listen to the news or things like that, get updates on the weather and stuff. And then lastly, I would say are outdoor living spaces. So a back patio or deck. Certainly if they have a pool, they would want music out there. Those are the main areas that I would see people wanting to have music. And so just adding some wiring for speakers in those areas really gives them the ability to do that and enjoy their home that much more. All right, so those are the four things that I would recommend you wire for in every single home that you build, and your customers will be really grateful to you if you do that. Number one, Wi-Fi access points. Number two, Cat 6 along with your coax to TV locations. Number three is surround sound in the primary TV viewing area. And then number four is multi-room music with speakers throughout the home. At the very least, even if you don't do the sound options, I would just urge you to please run Cat 5 or Cat 6 to TV locations and areas for Wi-Fi access points, because every single home that you build, they're going to be streaming video, they're going to be using Wi-Fi, and those technologies they're just becoming more and more important. So I would really encourage you to at least add those types of things into your homes, and your customers will thank you for it.